I've been reflecting on my journey through the competitive scene of Team Fortress 2, which spanned from 2015 to 2021, and then intermittently even until now. I haven't played a full season since 2021, but I've participated by ringing and playing pugs during this time. It's been a significant portion of my life from high school to now, and I played Highlander and Invite and dabbled in sixes. Even though I didn't make Invite in sixes, my mentors at the time always assured me that with another season or with some more time and patience, I'd be there. Even one of my close friends who did make Invite often reassured me of this as well, saying it would only take a little more time to get back to where I was. What truly bugged me about the competitive scene and led to my eventual withdrawal was a profound self-realization. Understanding why we play in the first place, but ultimately, why I quit in the first place. Was it ego death? Was it the scene of the players themselves? Oh no, another open player commenting on how the scene is so toxic, or an article from PC Gamer talking about how evil the scene is. One particular moment that stands out to me was one of the last seasons I played, of sixes. I was trying to wrangle some people together for an advanced season, a team of sixes, right, with some old friends and pros. My team had not been doing well in scrims. We were getting rolled over and over again during tryouts, and during one game on Snakewater, we didn't have a demo, so I asked my friend to ring. He was a former teammate of mine with whom we got 4th, I think, in Div 1 Advance, which was pretty cool. I think it was the first time that Div 1 was a thing in sixes for the NA scene. We were playing a game of Snakewater, and he was ringing for us, and understandably, he got mad at the situation we were in where just there was no communication. He questioned our team's positioning and choices and said, "Why don't you listen to me? I'm better than you." I think because I was defaulting and I was so angry, in my pride, I took it personally, and this shattered me at the time. Maybe it was the conscious final resolve to see the nature of how people see the game. He was right, however. There's no denying that players naturally just default when they're losing. Why take it seriously if someone else isn't? When someone on your team is throwing, it's a mental game over, a 5v6. And after slowly withdrawing myself from the game, I realized it was his ego speaking at the time. What is control without the butting of antlers? This, of course, felt like a light ego death. Overcoming ego isn't about losing your self-identity, but rather about recognizing aspects of yourself, understanding gratitude, and embracing humility for what you have accomplished. At the moment, learn to be grateful for what you have within your team and the overall scene. Be grateful for the defeat to wash away any unclarity or disposition of pride, and be humble in both for teaching you. I think a defining moment that clarified this for me is with a common activity I do, but recently. I often help my friends ready up for scrims or matches in MGE. I find it amusing how I feel like an old guard member of the game, justifying the time I've spent by holding onto this potential filter that I am of skill for my friends and players around me. It reminds me of Doc Hudson trying to teach Lightning McQueen how to drive. He knew of his old glory and accomplishments with the Piston Cup, but was hesitant to pass the mantle, even though the time was coming. Maybe in my case, it's also a coming-of-age story, the wilting of my skill and glory past, and it's time to give up the chalice. The phrase, "if you don't use it, you lose it," rings true in many cases, and in TF2, by not constantly honing your skills after competitive trials, you'll notice a significant decline in performance. I mainly played Soldier in both game modes, but I noticed my skill in other classes also improved. Maybe this came from pugging or ringing. It's likely just an understanding of game sense and has little to do with mechanical skill. At the time, playing Demoman in pugs and pubs, I often stepped up because I was the only one in my friend group willing to, and I'm sure that honed my skills. This willingness to take on new challenges likely landed the mechanical evolution and skill I had. However, I struggled to handle the criticism that my friends and those around me gave me on Demoman, even when it was constructive, which cost me interest and further development in those classes. Needless to say, If you play a class like Soldier and you ring on other classes, you'll inherently see the flaws in Soldier, and you'll also see the flaws in those other classes to Soldier. In Highlander, on my team, to make room on the roster for friends per skill, I played Heavy, which is a fun class and it doesn't require much thought, despite what my teammates might tell you. On the flip side, when I was locked in on Soldier in 6s, I would get furious if my expectations weren't met. This frustration stemmed from my inability to communicate effectively. At the time, I would mumble under my breath, and no one could understand me. Maybe something was off with my mic as well too, but I have a strong, prideful memory of getting this demo review from an invite player at the time. In the clip, I'm telling my team we need to push on Gully Wash last, right, Run River, and I'm telling them how to push, place stickies on the point, and have the scouts come in from under and they'll die to the sticks on the point. It's a pretty clear plan. I'm crystal clear about what I'm saying in the VOD. I've showed this to multiple people. And in the VOD, this invite player is saying, listen to your soldier, why is no one doing this? And I still wonder sometimes to this day, why was no one listening to me? And over years of thinking about it and asking my friends why no one hears me from game mode to game mode, season to season, it stems from ego and the projection of others. No one likes a know-it-all, especially in a group of 9 to 6 people. There is a snowball effect that can go both ways and backfire on you entirely in unfamiliar environments. There's also a social understanding of intent based on your own character or disposition that not everyone can be consciously aware of. So much so that some people can use it harshly to attack an otherwise innocent intent. Based on my failure in understanding and communication, this ultimately led me to problems beyond video games, but personally as well. And these problems extended to real life, forcing me to self-actualize and reassess my own disposition and character. This reflection led me to harmful beliefs, but ultimately the understanding of being humble, to have people even listen to you in the first place. I think, in general, people like to believe that what they have to say should be considered valuable or important. A good way to understand this, I believe, comes in the biblical phrase, do not cast pearls before swine, which means to not offer something valuable to those who won't appreciate it. It implies that some people are incapable of recognizing the value of what you are offering, and thus, it's a waste to give it to them. The pearls represent something of great worth, and the swine symbolize individuals who cannot appreciate or understand the value of pearls. They're beastly. It's good to be conscious of who you want to accept what you perceive as good or truth or anything to share. Even after losing to new players with fewer hours and more skill, I learned to accept the circumstance, the status quo. People will inherently belittle you for vainglory, but humility per circumstance is crucial. Let's say you started playing 2 years ago and are on an advanced Highlander team. You'll face players who've been around since the beta, some are veterans, while others are rising stars. This blend of experience and fresh talent creates a dynamic, ever-evolving scene. The exchange of titles, who's better in a battle of greater or lesser than. Also understanding that there's nothing new under the sun is important. For instance, dethroning a veteran player who presumably knows all the tricks and gimmicks on a map is a significant personal achievement. There's an unspoken battle of pride within this game, and it's hard to let go because of our spent time and effort that define us. Whether you're a master salesman or a TF2 player, pride and ego play significant roles in our lives. Accepting criticism involves a fundamental transformation of our psyche. Letting go and transcending our ego can lead to a more inclusive and fulfilling life. It's a process of self-reflection and growth. We all have moments of irrational thoughts, like unexpectedly wanting to punch someone during a conversation. Like, let's say you're out on a date with this really hot girl, right? And she's talking about something you don't really care about. And all the while, you're thinking, I should punch her in the face, and you have no idea where that came from. But these thoughts don't define us. Instead, they highlight the complexity of our minds. In gaming, the concept of passing the mantle, or metaphorical patricide, is a weird, unspoken reality. The pettiness of people, including myself, becomes evident. Stars burn out and germs get eradicated. I think I've realized this most against losing to former teammates and friends of mine in MG. Like, I've always been petty about losing in video games, in 1v1s in general, like, since I was a kid. Like, during 1v1 sniping on Shipment or Rust, to raging at losing to nobodies on Spire. I've always questioned why I get so mad and what my disposition requires me to act of. I like to believe that after such time spent on anything, pride grows. We all like to think that after we spend a significant chunk of time doing something, we're pretty good at it. Maybe it's the Dunning-Kruger effect, but acceptance of loss is crucial. If you've ever spent time on something that feels like it's going nowhere, remember that all time is yours to spend. Wasted time should be consciously considered a good use of your time, though expectations control how we look and feel. You might expect to win a match against an intermediate player and shockingly lose, leading to the same self-reflection and acceptance over time. Losing to friends or assumptive strangers in general brings feelings of projection. In TF2, fault can be mutual or singular. I remember my first season of main sixes with my good friends now. We got 4th place, and the night we lost, we weren't prepared for the dynamic strategies of our opponents. What was happening was, the stage is set on Sunshine last, and our strategy was having me alone on the flank and our combo locking down the main areas that players jump through and push through. This led to me getting picked off consistently because I was alone on the flank and losing us rounds. It was frustrating because I blamed myself for not playing correctly and my team blamed me, even when following the instructions that was given to me during our map reviews and discussions. Some might dismiss self-reflection, but it's necessary for your own growth. Earlier in the season, I would get furious after each loss. How I would cope was I would launch games like Thug Pro and just skate around and try butt slapping to vent my frustrations. If you don't know what a butt slap is, it's basically when you get super high ground in Tony Hawk. If you've ever seen like those old clips of them reaching like the skybox. Anyway, outlets like these are essential for calming down. Passion projects driven by frustration or rage often lead to exceptional results, resulting in the raw human aspect of creativity. With age and maturity comes the responsibility to self-analyze and review your actions. Doing the same thing repeatedly without improvement or a change in scenery is just insanity, which leads, after acceptance, to humility, being grateful for what has come to you, the lesson learned, and in the end, firmly, humility, patience, and gratitude are vital. Reflect on your experiences and learn from them and grow. I wish you all the best on your journey, both in TF2 and in life. I'll see you guys in the next one. I have a few more coming up.